بسم الله بسم الله بسم الله والحمد لله إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد معاشر الفضلاء أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل. That's the first advice I give myself first and foremost, and reminder and all those listening with the fearing of Allah Azza wa Jal the Almighty في السر وعلانية, to fear Allah Azza wa Jal in open and in secret. Now the main reason I chose this topic, how long will you remain on the streets for, is because I saw the urge and the extreme importance of talking about this topic specifically in the society and this place that we live in today. فلذلك قد اخترت هذا العنوان, and I see that it's very, very imperative for us to talk about it because, of course, without a doubt, كما قال الله عز وجل فذكر فإن الذكرى تنفع المؤمنين, and remind one another, for verily the reminders benefit the believers. And it is sad to see, and it saddens my heart deeply to see many of our youth today wasting, and many of them have a lot of potential, wasting and throwing away the future and life by hanging around in these streets that we see just outside of this masjid. So we know without a doubt, كما قال الله عز وجل في محكم تنزيله يعدهم ويمنيهم وما يعدهم الشيطان إلا غرورا. Shaytan, he knows where he's heading, ya ikhwani fillah, and all those listening, he knows his end result, where it will be. So hence why he makes promises to them, i.e. those that are weak in iman, those that think that that which is good for them is to follow their desires. So Shaytan makes them promises, just like you go for a job and you get promised certain things within the contract. So Shaytan, he makes promises for these people and arouses them in false desires, false hopes. And Shaytan's promises are nothing but deception. Because at the end of the day, and we'll see when we touch upon it inshallah, the reason why Shaytan does this and the kinds of ways that Shaytan does this with the youth, a lot of them have energy. When you reach that age, sinna murahaqa, that age of that energy that you have within you when you're young, it's very crucial for it to be used in a good thing, for a good means, for a good cause. If not, then you will be misguided, because that energy you have, that hamasa, as a young child, from the age, let's say 15 onwards, if you use it for goodness, then you will see it fulfilled and nourished. You will see the fruits of it afterwards. But wallahi, those youth that are outside now, as we speak, wallahi ikhwani, the uncles, the fathers, that you have youth that are out there on the streets, the reason is because they have all of this energy that they themselves need to burn. And if you, as fathers sitting here today, are not there with your youth, day in, day out, كما كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, he used to care for his youth, the Muslim ummah, and all of those there. If you don't energy and put time to sitting with your child when they're young, wallahi, tomorrow they'll be in the streets, just like you see today. So hence why it's incumbent upon each and every one of us sitting here today, wajibuna, to be from those that implement tawheed in the youth when they're young, implement the hubb of the deen. Because if you don't, then they will be with the society, that which they give them statistics of, that they'll be on the streets. There's no future for them. And many of them, subhanallah, sadly, many of them have a lot of skills. They're intelligent, they have potential. But the sad reality is that if no one pushes them to do that which they need, then it will go to waste. So that's why the reason of this topic is that which it is titled. And we see day in, day out, many of the youth, they waste their energy, they waste their time in being on the streets, dealing, selling drugs in the alleyways, in front of the masjid, late at night, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, you find the shab outside. Now where are his parents? That's the question you have to ask. Not just, yes, he is in the wrong by dealing drugs, selling weed, smoking, whatever it could be within sins, ma'asi. That's the question, of course, that he is going to be questionable and questioned for on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. But the real question is, where are you, O Father? Are you with him? Have you tried that? Have you put in that juhud? كما كان إبراهيم عليه السلام مع أبيه. Not even just with who, but Ibrahim alayhi salam used to be with his father. Until his father says, literally, I will stone you. لأرجمنك, meaning I will stone you if you do not stop calling me to this. But Ibrahim alayhi salam carried on by giving him peace, sending him salutations by peace, meaning I will carry on. So this is an example. How was Nuh alayhi salam with his son? How was Nuh alayhi salam with his son? He was there all the way until the end. وَقَالَ ارْكَبُوا مَعَنَا وَلَا تَكُنْ مَعَ الْكَافِرِينَ. He said it to him, advising him, embark on the ship with us and don't be from the kafirun. But this youth thought that he was in the correct, he was in the right, but he was continuously giving him da'wah until the akhir lahda, and he's a Nabi. So how about us? فَمَا بَالُكُمْ? You as a generation, as Muslims, if Allah manna Allahu alaykum bis-sihha wal-afiyya wal-aql, that you're here in this masjid, then don't just look in the streets and feel sorry and walk on, but rather make a change within your household and your communities. And an example that we see from the Quran, كما قال الله عز وجل في محكم تنزيله فوسوس لهما الشيطان ليبدي لهما ما وري عنهما. And look at this ayah, ما وري عنهما عن سوآتهما. And if you look at this ayah and you see how Allah Azza wa Jal is informing us, literally فوسوس لهما الشيطان, meaning shaitan whispered and he tried to what? Trick them into what? Thinking that which I am telling you is correct for you. And what did he say in the end? In the end it mentions in the ayah وَقَاسَمَهُمَا إِنِّي لَكُمَا لَمِنَ النَّاصِحِينَ. He's lying to them, but yet he comes out as if he is what? Being a sincere advisor. So in this verse we see that Shaytan is giving false promises to our father Adam alayhi salam and his wife Hawa. And if this in itself is not a means of a wake-up call for us, then I don't know what is. This is what we should remind our youth, that which is in the streets is no khair for you. That which is in the streets is no benefit to you. Oh young shab, oh youth, I once upon a time was there. I grew up in this area in Housden. And wallahi, it is true, yes, it is difficult. It is difficult to grow up in these streets in London. Specifically now more than 10 years before, 15 years. When many of the uncles sitting in front of me, you can also bear witness and say that 20 years ago, 30 years when you were shab, it wasn't like it was today. It wasn't like it is today. Now it's harder. That's why we have to put in more effort in trying to guide our youth. And you should know this specifically from the time you have a daughter, for those that have daughters know, if you as a father don't give your daughter attention in the household, wallahi she'll go look for it outside from the men, from the ajanib. If you don't give her attention, if you don't make sure that you remind her day in, day out that she is beautiful, she will seek that attention in school, on the road, from the people that are what? That are not good for her. And likewise, for your youth, your child, your young boy, if you don't put him into something that is khair for him because of that energy that he has, whether it may be sports and what have you, then you would see him slowly drift away onto the streets. And a message to all the youth: do you not get tired in standing in the cold, late up at night on the streets, selling, walking up and down, in the morning waking up, smoking, just waking up without, some of them don't even brush their teeth, don't even have breakfast, they wake up to haram, to smoking cigarettes, to weed or whatever it could be. Aren't you tired of that cycle, that life? You're killing yourself on the insides, let alone Islamically, but the health issues that you're putting yourself through, the risks. Aren't you tired of living a life of fear? Some of our youth can't even leave their certain neighborhoods that they live in because they're scared they'll find the enemies of the other gangs and the postcodes that will harm them. So they live a life of fear. Aren't you tired of living this life of fear? Some of the youth, and the question is, what kind of gangster, what kind of so-called bad man, rude boy do you think you are by walking up and down? Aren't you tired of this whole facade that you put on? Because many of them, when they're in numbers, you see them. When they're in numbers, they think that they have some sort of ability to do something. But when they're alone, the vibe completely changes. And that's the sad reality. So aren't you tired that each and every single time you leave your household, you're watching over your shoulders 24/7? A Muslim, a mu'min shouldn't be like that. Because you fear only Allah Azza wa Jal. And you know that Allah Azza wa Jal is protecting you. But aren't you tired of roaming the streets, pedaling that bicycle that you've had for how many years? Isn't it something that you get tired of? Now look at how you've been deceived by the shaitan, that you think what you have is a job. Selling here and there, not knowing one day you're going to get caught or not. All of it is haram. Anything haram has no barakah. Whatever goes up, as they say, must come down, especially if it's haram. Maybe you reach a certain level in your life, yes, but because there's no barakah there, it's haram, eventually it will go. Aren't you tired? And is this how you want to be visioned? Is this how you visioned yourself 10 years ago? Ask yourself this. Where do you want to be 10 years from now? 5 years from now? Because there's only two answers. There's only two end ways. There's only two means of that which you would end up. Only two ways. The first one, the first path is either you end up in prison. End up in prison with all your life thrown away because of some sort of reputation you want to live on the streets. And the second type is you end up 6 foot under. So you have to ask yourselves, do you want to be from those that end up like this? So for those of you that have no respect for yourself as a youth being on the streets, then have some sort of respect and some sort of dignity for your family. From the family that you come from, you have a father, a mother, siblings. Have some sort of respect from that which you come from, meaning that household that has tried to raise you upon khair. Now the thing is that confuses me the most is that you see many of the youth that come from a family that is upon khair. Maybe their family whole household is practicing. Maybe they're successful, and yet they live this life. Don't tell me as a youth that if you come from this type of environment that you were forced to. No, you chose to be. Because there's no alaqah, there's no sort of link that links you to this life except that which you wanted. You wanted to be a bad man. You wanted to be a gangster. So don't put on the facade. And you see many of them, they're known with their tags, scar, dribbles, this nonsense that you have roaming around. They're known as something when they're on the roads. But when they're in the household, they're Muhammad, Ismail, Ibrahim and Abdullah. So why are you putting on the facade? I mean, yes, for a person, a young shab that has come from a household where no one in the family is practicing. Maybe their fathers are in prison or their uncles. We're not giving them an excuse because even that is wrong. So if that's the case and you fall under this category, then be the first from the generations of your family to have left off that life, to start practicing the deen, to be an ambassador of Islam. And honestly, you should know, كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ما تركت لكم شيئا كما جاء في الحديث إلا وهو خير. يعني النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ما دلنا على شيء إلا وهو خير لنا. The Prophet didn't show us something or show us a path except that is khair for us. وما حذرنا من شيء إلا وهو شر لنا وعلينا. And he didn't warn us of something except that it is harmful towards us and it will cause to us some sort of harm. So don't let the shaitan deceive you. كما قال الله عز وجل وقال الشيطان لما قضي الأمر. استمع إلى هذه الآية. Listen to this verse deeply, and then you know that it doesn't relate just to you, but also those that are around you, that your so-called family, man them, those that make you delve right into haram, that make you indulge and make you tread this path of destruction. قال الله عز وجل وقال الشيطان لما قضي الأمر. And Shaytan, he stated and he said, when the matter had been decided, إن الله وعدكم. إن الله وعدكم. Allah Azza wa Jal promised you. وعد الحق, a promise. Allah Azza wa Jal promised you a promise. Listen to this verse and ponder upon it. وعدكم وعد الحق وَوَعَدْتُكُمْ فَأَخْلَفْتُكُمْ. Look at Shaytan, he knows. He says here that verily Allah promised you a promise. Promised you a promise of what? Of truth. Allah Azza wa Jalla يدعوكم إلى الجنة إلى المغفرة إلى الخير. So in this verse it says وعد الحق ووعدتكم فأخلفتكم, meaning I also and I too promised you. Shaytan now is talking. I also promised you a promise, but I betrayed you. So on the streets, when you're on the road and someone is telling you to do haram by the means of killing or selling something haram or destructing yourself, then know that they are telling you, yes, do this and you'll be part of our gang. Do this and you'll get reputation. Do this and you'll get respect amongst the community, amongst the mandem. But in the end, when it comes down to it, if you all get surrounded by the police and you get caught in that haram that you've delved yourself upon, then they will all betray you. Each and every single one of them will betray one another. And that's the sad reality. So Shaytan here is literally stating, وَوَعَدْتُكُمْ فَأَخْلَفْتُكُمْ, meaning I also promised you something, but then I betrayed you. وَمَا كَانَ لِي عَلَيْكُمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ إِلَّا أَنْ دَعُوتُكُمْ فَاسْتَجَبْتُمْ لِي. So, and look at this, and I had no authority over you. Shaytan is not forcing you, grabbing your hand and forcing you into the haram. Yes, he's promising you something, but he's not grabbing your hand and taking you to that haram, to that ma'siyah. Hasha wa kalla. Because you have a choice as an insan. You know what's right from wrong when you reach that age of puberty. So Shaytan is telling you here, I had no authority over you, except that I called you into haram. I said to you, do this. I said to you, commit this haram, commit zina, smoke, sell, kill, all of these things that are prohibited from the teachings of Islam. I called you to these things, so you what? فَاسْتَجَبْتُ. You made that istijabah. You responded. And that's what happens. That's the cycle of each and every single one that delves and indulges in ma'asi. Shaytan calls you, and then you what? You respond. Tastajib. And you have the choice not to respond. And the verse goes on, and it mentions, Allah Azza mentioned, فَلَا تَلُومُونِي. Shaytan saying, so do not what? Don't blame me. Yes, I did. وَعَدْتُكُمْ فَأَخْلَفْتُكُمْ. Yes, I did promise you something, and then I betrayed you. Not just that, what else? وَمَا كَانَ لِي عَلَيْكُمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ. I had no authority over you. I didn't force you by holding you. You didn't see me. Can you see Shaytan? No. So he's not fully forcing you physically. He's calling you. يُوَسْوِسْ عَلَيْكُمْ, whispering to you what to do from haram, from the means of haram. When you're on the streets to sell, to carry on, 3 o'clock in the morning. Ibn al-Halal, go to bed. 3 o'clock in the morning, you're going to be selling alcohol, you're going to be selling drugs. That in itself shows you how low you are with regards to your mindset. Wake up and stop falling for the tricks of Shaytan. So here Shaytan is telling you what? إِلَّا أَن دَعُوتُكُمْ. Except that I did what? I did call you, and then you responded. So, but what? There's a condition to this. Yes, I'm calling you. You've responded now. By wiswas, I'm calling you, you've responded. However, don't blame me. Blame yourself. Why? It says here, فَلَا تَلُومُونِي وَلُومُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ مَا أَنَا بِمُصْرِخِكُمْ. And look at this verse. وَمَا أَنْتُمْ بِمُصْرِخِي إِنِّي كَفَرْتُ بِمَا أَشْرَكْتُمُونِ مِنْ قَبْلِ إِنَّ الظَّالِمِينَ لَهُمْ. What's the end of the verse? عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. And here it's very clear. It says here, so blame me not. Don't blame me. Shaytan is saying, don't blame me. Satan is saying, don't blame me. Blame yourselves. I cannot help you, nor can I help, nor can you help me. Because Yawm al-Qiyamah, you're not going to be able to help Shaytan, and he's not going to be able to help you. I deny your what? Your form of act in associating me, Shaytan, as a partner with you, with regards to disobeying Allah. And in the life of this world, verily there is a painful, painful torment and punishment for those wrongdoers. Now, this here in itself should be enough for this title of this topic. That Shaytan is informing us. Here it's clear that all of this is something that he does. Yes, he does wiswas. So remember and remind your children, it's very important. At the end of the day, كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيتكم. All of you are responsible for that folk that you have, that flock, that which Allah Azza wa Jal has given you authority over. كلكم مسؤول. Allah Azza wa Jal will ask you. Allah's not going to ask their friends, no, Allah's going to ask you as the father. Don't say مالي شغل أنا والله قد جربت حاولت خلاص ما يبغى يسمع كلام مني. No, that's not enough. You can't say I've tried and he doesn't want to listen to me. You're the one that decided to get married and have children. Take care of your responsibility. Don't say it's a society we live in. Wallahi, many people, you hear them say it's because of the lands we live in and what have you. That's your choice that you chose to come here. You chose to stay here. Take responsibility as a man. Your children are your responsibility, not society's responsibilities. And you're the one that has to take the responsibility to the fullest. كما يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم الرجل على دين خليلي فلينظر أحدكم من يخالل. That's a very clear hadith. Each and every single man is upon the religion of their companion. فلينظر أحدكم من يخالل. So each and every one of you look towards whom you befriend. Who's your circle? Because those people that you have around you, that are surrounding you, each and every single one of them are the means of that which you are involved in today. So if your friends around you are calling you to khair, then you should befriend them and stay with them. Because Yawm al-Qiyamah, those friends will be able to intercede for you, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And if you have friends that are calling you to shar, and you claim that they're your friends on the street because they help you make an extra £50, 100, 200 in haram, then those are no friends. At the end of the day, one day will come and you will see that they will leave you off. Because ما كان لله ما كان لله. Who can finish it for me off? Who can finish it off for me? ما كان لله هو دائم بقى. لكن it says ما كان لله اتصل وبقى, meaning it's literally going to be a chain and it will always continue. If it's for the sake of Allah, whatever it is, وما كان لغير الله انقطع وانفصل. Each and every single thing, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a friend, whether it's an action, if you start it for the sake of Allah, it's going to continue and it's going to remain because of khalis li wajhi Allah Azza wa Jal. But if it's not for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, then one day it's going to break. It's like friendship. You can have a friend for 50 years. One small thing you do to him, that's it, he doesn't want to know you anymore. Which means it didn't start for the sake of Allah. If that what you started wasn't for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. So all those people that you see that are around you, calling you to ma'siyah, to haram, it wasn't for the sake of Allah. So therefore one day they'll turn against you. And a small reminder, I will remind also the sisters as well, those that are listening, that many sisters sadly today, our daughters, they go to the streets, they take off their hijab for the sake of this so-called gangster. Now think to yourself, oh sister, don't you have any sort of self-dignity, pride, where you're taking off this priceless, beautiful hijab, the modesty, you're taking off the modesty of yourself for the sake of someone who has no sort of value towards you. And you think, don't be deceived because he's on some sort of, maybe he's earning something from the streets from haram. Don't be deceived. He doesn't value you enough. And what's the proof? The fact that he takes you to Sam's, not even Sam's, Chicken Cottage. He spends on you £2, £2.50. And not just that, he doesn't even pay for it fully. This is not a person that values you. So you yourself should be from those that have value towards yourself. And a reminder to the fathers, if you're not around, if you're not in the picture, then that's where your daughters will end up. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ صَلَى اللَّهُ أَنْ يَحْفَظْ جَمِيعَ شَبَابَنَا. And this is the way we should be as Muslims, that we should try our utmost best to be the best. Once upon a time, wallahi ikhwani, once upon a time, the people from Europa would travel thousands of miles to go to the lands of the Arabs. Why? To learn the Arabic language and the culture. We had izzah once upon a time. Why? Because we was from those that kunna nutabbiq this deen, this beautiful religion. We used to implement it. But as soon as we started drifting away, slowly over the years and generations, we have no izzah. We look towards, now we send our children to the West. How sad. Wallahi, how sad. And if you look in Tariq, all of the things that have been accomplished have been from us. But because we have no izzah anymore, we want to follow the people of the West. This is where it's turned up to be. The stage that we're in today. You see someone on the streets, he's having a hairstyle, the waist he sees, and that which he's exposed to on the television. Why? Because he thinks that this is the style, this is the fashion. Once upon a time, they used to look towards us as Muslims. But until we wake up and realize and practice our deen, it's always going to continue like this. So something that I would like to remind myself first and foremost, that a lot of the people, a lot of the youth, and wallahi ikhwani, is dangerous. It's not just something that one muhadara will do it, it's haqq. No, it's something that needs every single time constant reminder, constant projects and things that will get the youth off the streets. Because wallahi, if I don't give this reminder, if I don't speak to a shab, if you don't and you don't and we don't, then who is? The society? Society is going to speak to them and tell them to come off the streets? Hasha wa kalla, it's never going to happen. So at the end of the day, if we don't put the energy and effort into it, then it's never going to change. And that's something that we have to realize and understand and know. Because if we don't realize it and if we don't understand it, then each and every single one of the youth that are on the streets here today, they will end up being wasted. Their energy will go. And that's why it's important and incumbent upon each and every single one of us to try to work hard. And it starts from the household. The fathers, when you're there in your household, give reminders to your children. Many fathers, they come to the masajid. It's khair, you go into the masjid. You leave the house, you have 4, let's say, I'll give you an example, you have 4 boys. All of them are the age of 8. They've hit the age of puberty. Meaning now they have the qalam. The angels are writing. You have 4 boys. Some are in uni, some are in high school, and what have you. And what happens? When you now leave the household, when you leave your house, that child of yours, you're going to the masjid and they're going a different path. Why aren't you dragging them to the masjid with you? Why do you wait until, many of the parents are guilty for doing this. He's still young. He's still young. We don't need to tell him to pray now. He's still young. Let him enjoy a bit of his life. خليه يستمتع من حياته شيء يعني. خليه يستمتع. It's just not the way. What does the hadith says? It says and it states مروهم كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كما جاء في بسبع وضربوهم بعشر, meaning you should order them to do khair when they're 7, and then when they reach the age of 10, that's when you should what? Be a bit more firm with them and strict. Meaning that when your child is young, you should try your utmost best to drag them to masajid. If you don't drag them to places like this, the masajid, then where are you going to be dragging them to? When it comes time for them to do their homework, you're very muhtam. You see that it's important for your child to get A stars and what have you. Of course, this is khair. But why is it the deen you don't give that same importance? And remember, if you don't put in the energy as a parent and the fathers, you can't keep blaming society and their friends. It's not sufficient. It's not enough. It's your responsibility. So if you don't start when you're young, giving them reminders, taking them out to trips, you don't have to be lecturing them every day. A child doesn't need to be lectured every single day, because then it could be a means of them getting tired from that which they're hearing. You have to be wise about it. If you always enforce upon them religion, they're going to get tired. But rather take it slowly by slowly. Take them out to trips, travel with them. Be with them, especially the boys. If you're a father, be with him. Make him with you all the time. When you go out with your friends and what have you in places of khair, make him be with you, drag him with you. That way he's going to grow up to see that which you're upon khair. And slowly he will figure the rest out after the tawfiq of Allah Azza wa Jal. And make dua for your children. Make dua for them each and every single time. Allahumma hdi shababana ila al-haq. Allahumma hdi shababana al-haq. And this is something that is incumbent upon each and every one of us. And same as if we have daughters, same thing. There's no difference there. وكما قال الله عز وجل ويوم يعض الظالم على يديه يقول يا ليتني اتخذت مع الرسول سبيلا. And remember the day when the wrongdoers will bite at their hands, and he will say, oh, that I had taken a path with the messenger. He's regretting, I wish I took this path of khair. But then it's too late. And then the ayah goes on and it mentions, Ya waylata laytani lam attakhidh fulanan khalila. And it's mentioned here that, oh, woe to me, would that I had never taken so and so as a friend, as a companion. So now he's regretting. لقد أضلني عن الذكر بعد إذ جاءني وكان الشيطان للإنسان خذولا. He indeed led me astray. That's what those people on the streets are doing. He indeed led me astray from the reminder, this Quran, after it had come to me. And Shaytan is ever a deserter to man in the hour of need. So this in itself is a verse that I believe is a profound verse, meaning we should implement it. Remember when you're on the streets, when you're being dragged onto the roads, when they're telling you, come sit down with us, come smoke a zoo, come do this, smoke a weed, cigarette's not going to harm you. Yawm al-Qiyamah, you'll be regretting that you did so. Don't give in to the peer pressure. A lot of peer pressure happens within our societies, in school, on the roads. If you're seeing that you're not doing that which everyone else is doing, you're going to be laughed at. Don't worry about that. Because what is, كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, من ترك شيئا لله عوضه خيرا منها. Whoever leaves something off for the sake of Allah, if you leave off those friends that are calling you to shar for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, then Allah Azza wa Jal will give you something even better. He will replace it with something better. Those people that are calling you to the streets and telling you to sell, telling you to do evil, Yawm al-Qiyamah, you will be from those that say, if you do give in. May Allah Azza wa Jal keep us all safe and safeguard us from doing so. If you give in to the cause of Shaytan, those so-called man them on the streets calling you to shar, if you give in to them, then Yawm al-Qiyamah you would say this, لَقَدْ أَضَلَّنِي عَنِ الذِّكْرِ بَعْدَ إِذْ جَاءَنِي. Someone called you to khair, someone's telling you on your left-hand side, come ya Abdullah to these talks, come to the masajid. And this one here, he's a Muslim as well. That's what smacks it, that's what's so sad. He's Muslim and he's telling you, come here to the roads, come smoke a zoo, come sell, come make some quick money. Don't give in to him, even if he's calling you and calling you. Wallahi, if you leave him off and you call and you accept the call of what? Of khair, as Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَيَدْعُوكُمْ إِلَى الْوَى إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. Allah Azza wa Jal calls you to Jannah, wal-maghfirah. Allah Azza wa Jal calls you, is calling you and telling you, come to khair, by coming to the masajid, memorize the Quran, read the Quran, learning about your true identity, which is what? Islam. Islam is a ni'mah that you have been blessed to be from this beautiful ummah, this nation of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So take it as a blessing and don't be from those that what? That sees it as something heavy. Because of course, yes, it is difficult to practice your deen, to grow a beard maybe, to pray salah on time, maybe to just even be from those that are not on the streets. You get laughed at, people laugh at you. In the school, in your workforces, in college, in uni, maybe in your household. But be from those that know the hadith, كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, إن هذا الدين جاء غريبا وسيعود غريبا فطوبى للغرباء. This deen of Islam, it came as something strange. When Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and Umar and Uthman and Khalid and Uthman and Umar and Ali and the Prophet ﷺ, when they started practicing the deen and implementing it in Quraysh, amongst the people of Quraysh and Mecca, what happened? They were laughed at. Some of them were stoned, some of them were tortured, but they carried on practicing it. And it's going to return this deen as something strange, which is our time now. فَطُوبَى لِلْغُرَبَاءِ. Glad tidings. Wallahi, طُوبَى لِلْغُرَبَاءِ. Allahumma ja'alna minhum. Glad tidings to the strangers. If you're a stranger, then it's khair, as long as what? You're pleasing Allah Azza wa Jal. That's the main thing. And whoever pleases Allah, then Allah will make him be amongst the people. The people will be pleased with him by his actions, by him doing actions that are pleasing towards Allah Azza wa Jal. And we should realize and know, كما قال الله عز وجل في محكم تنزيله in Surah Al-Ma'idah, من قتل نفسا بغير نفس أو فساد في الأرض فكأنما قتل الناس جميعا ومن أحياها فكأنما أحيا الناس جميعا. In this verse, in itself, we should understand and realize that killing is not something easy. Many of the youth, they indulge in it today. A life is something it doesn't even weigh the atom's weight to them. Hence why they don't see it as something that is difficult to do. وَلِعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And it's something severe and great in the eyes of Allah Azza wa Jal. Whoever kills and takes a soul from someone for no reason of mankind, it doesn't matter whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim. The deen of Islam is the deen of rahmah. We should treat the Muslims with respect, and same vice versa, treat the non-Muslims with respect. And it's mentioned here in this verse that whoever kills an innocent soul then verily it is as if he has killed the whole of mankind. And whoever saves a soul from mankind, then it is as if he has saved the whole of mankind. And also, Allah Azza wa Jalla states in His noble book, وَمَنْ يَقْتُلْ مُؤْمِنًا مُتَعَمِّدًا فَجَزَاؤُهُ جَهَنَّمْ خَالِدًا فِيهَا وَغَضِبَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَلَعَنَهُ وَأَعَدَّ لَهُ عَذَابًا عَظِيمًا. And whoever kills a believer intentionally, his recompense, meaning his reward, and I say reward meaning he does something, there's going to be a consequence to it. So whoever kills a believer intentionally, then his recompense is hellfire, to abide therein. And the wrath of Allah Azza wa Jal, i.e. the anger and the curse of Allah, are upon him. A great punishment is awaiting and prepared for him. So this in itself should be, because wallahi today is so sad. I mean, it's sad for any sort of innocent soul to be taken. But what's even worse, when you see the Muslims taking their souls. They're killing each other for no reason. For what reason? For postcodes, for reputation, for gangs, things that have baseless meanings. There is no meaning towards it. And I mean, how noble do you think you are by being on the road representing a postcode that you didn't even make up? You're representing something. Let's say you represent a company, you're the CEO of a company. Have some sort of izzah for yourself. You made that company, you established it. But you're on road until 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, representing a postcode, a place you didn't even choose to be in. How high do you think of yourself by doing so? Be from those that, and wallahi, if no one has told you this before, oh youth, then know that maybe let you hear it from me. You are someone successful. Within you, you have success in you. You have potential. You have the potential to be successful. Don't let anyone put you down. Don't think that this is a cycle you have to be in by staying on the roads, but rather let it be from the things that you know, that I've got a skill, I've got a potential. Do something. Use your energy in something, whether it be sports or education or whatever. Business. Change your life around. Many of us make mistakes. Each and every single one of us make mistakes. But turn your life around. Start again. Start fresh. It's not too late. Don't leave it until Malik al-Maut comes to you. When Malik al-Maut comes to you, then it's too late. And then you would know whether you're a true bad man or not, whether you're a true gangster or not. Because none of you will be able to face it. It will be too late when you're 6 foot under. And remember and know, كل نفس ذائقة الموت. كل نفس ذائقة الموت. Each and every single soul shall taste death. But it's just about what you choose to what? To do with your life. What you choose to do with your life. And I'll end on this hadith. Allah, Wallahi ikhwani, this hadith is something that we should all just see it as a hadith that we always think about day in, day out. It doesn't matter what you are doing in your life, where you come from. يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كما قال يتبع الميت ثلاثة أهله وماله وعمله. And this hadith is always repeated, and it's one of my favorite hadith because it's something that you should keep it here, literally in front of you. كل ميت, literally يتبع الميت. Each and every single deceased person, 3 things are going to follow him to the grave. I'm sitting here today. Many of my friends that I knew are not here today. It's sad. Wallahi, it's sad, and it saddens the heart. Today I could be here, tomorrow or even after Isha I may not be here. Al-amr biyadillah azza wa jal. وَلَا تَدْرِي نَفْسٌ بِأَيِّ أَرْضٍ تَمُوتُ. No single soul knows where it will be in terms of when its soul will be taken. So you're sitting here today as well. If you're listening, you're here alive, you're doing whatever you're doing, but you're not guaranteed to live until tomorrow. So don't be from those that have been from those that take this life and you make this life your utmost eternity, meaning you're going to stay forever. Because wallahi, the death will come to you. يتبع الميت ثلاثة, 3 things. أهله وماله وعمله. 3 things follow the deceased. When you go to that graveyard, 3 things are going to follow you. Your money, your wealth, and your family. فيبقى واحد. 1 thing only is going to stay with you. ويرجع اثنان. يرجع أهله وماله. 2 things are going to go back. They're not going to stay with you. They're not going to enter the grave with you. Your family members, your friends, your peers, your colleagues, and your wealth is going to all go back. And that which you possessed and own in this dunya.
All of it is going to what? Leave you. That luxury car, that stuff that you bought with haram, all of those stuff that you had, they're all going to leave you. It's not going to follow you in the grave. يبقى واحد. One simple thing is going to remain with you in that grave. What is it? It's your actions. فانظر ماذا قدمت أنت يا عبد الله. Look, Ya Amat Allah, look, what did you put forth with regards to actions? And I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make this gathering a beneficial one and to make it from those that testify for us. يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون. اللهم اهدنا إلى صراطك المستقيم. اللهم اهدي شبابنا إلى الحق. اللهم اهدي شبابنا إلى الحق يا عزيز يا جبار. اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم يا مصرف القلوب صرف قلوبنا على طاعتك يا عزيز يا جبار. سبحانك اللهم رب وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. And of course we should know the hadith كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. So each and every single thing you do, try and do it for the sake of you wanting reward by advising. And remember, all the youth, if your parent or your elder siblings advise you, it's not because they hate you, because you should know the saying, the one that loves you is the one that advises you. If you're not getting advice from your friends of something that you're doing, it means there's no love there. And your parents would never, ever, ever tell you anything, but they want khair for you. Whether you see it in your thick brain of yours when you're young and you've got all that hamasa, that's how I was. You know, you're young, you think you know everything. You think, yeah, I know everything. I don't need to listen to my parents. But wallahi, you're wrong, because your parent knows better for you. So listen to them, because that love they have for you is that which is coming out of their mouth by them advising you and all those around you. So make us be from those. Allahumma ja'alna nakun min hadha al-hadith. La yu'min ahadukum hatta yuhibba li-akhihi ma yuhibbu li-nafsihi. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.